Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really focusing in on something crucial: how couples can build, stronger, more intimate relationships.
hmm
We've looked through the sources, and this really powerful idea emerges that, well, relationship success isn't just about luck or finding the one.
Right. It's about skills, things you can actually learn and practice.
Exactly. Specific skills. We're talking actionable steps here, not just like abstract concepts.
And that's so empowering, isn't it? Knowing you can actually learn how to listen better or communicate needs more clearly, rather than feeling it's all down to fate.
Yeah, like building interpersonal muscles, you can work on them.
You really can.
Yeah.
Through understanding what works and then, putting in the effort.
And this isn't just for relationships on the rocks, is it?
Oh, definitely not.
Whether you're just starting out, want a solid foundation, or you've been together ages and want to deepen things,
Deep that connection, that understanding.
these skills apply. The sources make it clear: married, unmarried, same sex, straight, young, old. If you're committed, there's something here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it is important to add a caveat right up front.
Okay.
This deep dive, and the source material itself, it's not really designed for situations where there are um, really significant
Like
issues,
what?
like serious substance abuse, any kind of threats or actual violence or, recent major betrayals, infidelity, that sort of thing.
Right. In those cases, professional help is the first step. Absolutely.
Exactly. Safety first, always. Address those critical things before trying to apply these kinds of skills.
Makes sense. But for committed couples wanting to improve things,
The sources strongly suggest working together is key.
why is that?
Well, when you're both in it, you build support, you see the effort the other person is making, it just tends to speed things up.
And probably reinforces feeling valued, I imagine.
Precisely, that feeling of being a team.
Okay, so structure-wise, the source we're mainly drawing from, couple skills, it's kind
Yeah.
of broken down, right?
Yeah, it has sections on basic skills, advanced skills, dealing with anger and conflict, and then understanding what goes wrong and how to change it.
And today we're hitting those basics.
We are really digging into those foundational building blocks, the things everyone can benefit from.
The book points to a few key starting points, doesn't it? These essential skills.
That's right. Things like truly listening, being
Mm.
able to express your feelings and needs clearly,
Hmm.
and this idea of reciprocal reinforcement,
Hmm.
basically consciously upping the positive stuff.
Okay. Creating that base of openness and support.
Exactly, that foundation.
All right, so let's dive into the first one the book calls foundational: listening.
It sounds so simple, doesn't it? Listening.
Yeah, seems basic.
But the source material really highlights how tricky true listening actually is. It's surprisingly difficult.
How so?
Well, think about it. Our minds wander, right?
Right.
Or we start planning what we're going to say next instead of really hearing them out.
Oh, totally. Or I find myself sort of filtering, listening for something specific.
Exactly. Or jumping to judgments. We decide we know what they mean or
Yeah.
disagree and just stop listening,
Yeah. Instead of just trying to understand their perspective.
which is the whole point.
Yes.
Active listening isn't just hearing, it's showing you value their viewpoint. It's building that understanding, preventing mix-ups later on.
I can definitely see that. It feels like my brain is often running its own separate track during conversations.
It happens to all of us.
But the book really stresses how vital this is. Not just polite, but fundamental for connection, enjoyment,
Mhm.
and actually knowing what makes your partner tick without playing mind reader.
Which, let's face it, we're terrible at.
Yes. So listening is like a commitment, a compliment almost.
That's a great way to put it. A commitment to understanding, a compliment to their thoughts and feelings. You're saying, I care enough to try and see this through your eyes.
And this whole idea of active listening, it has roots somewhere specific, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It actually comes out of therapy originally. Carl Rogers developed it for therapists.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and then others built on it, focusing on how we can overcome our own internal listening blocks and use it for more give and take communication.
So the intention behind why we're listening is key.
Absolutely crucial. The source says real listening stems from wanting to understand or enjoy the interaction or learn or maybe offer help.
And if that's not the intention,
Then it's likely what the book calls pseudo-listening. Fake listening, basically. Your mind's elsewhere. You might be nodding, but you're not really in it.
okay. Which brings us to those listening blocks you mentioned.
Right. The common ways we sabotage our own listening. Filtering is a big one.
Like only hearing certain topics?
Yeah, maybe you only tune in when they talk about money stress, but zone out about work stuff. Or you actively avoid certain subjects entirely. The in-laws, maybe, or drinking habits.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. And the other big one was judging.
Judging, yeah. As soon as you form a negative judgment, oh, here they go again, or that's ridiculous, bam, your listening effectively shuts down.
Because you think you've got it figured out. No need to hear more.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the book suggests that just noticing these patterns in yourself, while maybe a bit uncomfortable at first, can actually lead to some surprisingly good conversations you wouldn't have had otherwise.
So how do we do it better? What are the active techniques?
Well, it takes mental effort. It's not passive. The book highlights three main things: paraphrasing, clarifying, and giving feedback.
Okay, paraphrasing. That's like repeating back what they said.
Sort of, but in your own words.
Yeah.
So if I'm hearing you right, you're feeling frustrated because it checks if you actually understood.
Ah, right, like a verification step.
Yeah.
The book had that example with Art and Evie and the inheritance money, right? He summarized her feelings.
Exactly that. Making sure they're on the same page before moving on.
Okay, then clarifying.
Clarifying is asking questions when something's not clear, or if your paraphrase shows you misunderstood.
But with the right intention.
Yes. Crucially, the intent has to be genuine curiosity. You really want to understand better. Not grilling them, not pushing your own view.
So like who, what, where, when, how questions.
And importantly, asking about feelings. How did that make you feel? And thoughts. What were you thinking then?
Got it. And the third one was feedback.
Right. Feedback comes after you've listened,
Yeah.
paraphrased, maybe clarified. Now it's your turn to share your reaction.
So your thoughts, feelings, opinions.
Exactly.
Yep.
And this is key, without judgment and without falling back into those listening blocks yourself.
Okay. So it helps check perceptions, lets them know how their message landed.
Yes. And it offers your perspective. It makes it a two-way street.
This all sounds like it needs practice.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
Which is why the book includes that reciprocal communication exercise.
Taking turns.
Yeah. One person is a designated speaker, the other the listener, with clear guidelines.
Okay, so the speaker should.
Be brief. Use I statements about their experience. I felt hurt when. Avoid blame, and maybe stop after about 5 minutes.
And the listener.
Listener's job is just to understand. Focus on the feelings, opinions, needs, then summarize what they heard without adding their own stuff.
No interpretation.
No interpretation, and then just ask, did I miss anything?
Right. There was that example with Evie talking finances and Art summarizing, and the other one, Melissa and Brad on spending. The reversal.
It shows how you apply it back and forth.
Okay, so listening is the foundation. What's the next skill?
Building right on that is expressing feelings and scripting needs. So being able to figure out what you're actually feeling and then communicate it effectively.
Again, sounds simple.
But it often isn't.
Yeah, and I know for me, sometimes it's hard to even name the emotion, let alone explain it well. But the book says this is crucial for intimacy.
It really is. And one interesting concept they bring up is the self system and these things called forbidding gestures from our past.
What does that mean?
It means our early experiences, how people reacted to our emotions, can teach us that some feelings are okay to show and others are not.
Like boys don't cry or something.
Exactly. Or maybe anger wasn't allowed, so you learn to suppress it. These become not me feelings. They're still there influencing us, but we don't consciously own them or express them directly.
That makes a lot of sense. So how do we tap into what we're really feeling then?
The book suggests paying attention to your body. Where do you feel the sensation? What's it like? Shape, size, color?
Okay.
And then, kind of a cool idea, imagine the feeling could talk. What message does it have? Is it about loss, unfairness, fear?
That's an interesting technique, like giving it a voice.
It is. And a really, really critical point that the book hammers home is avoiding blame.
Ah, yes, the pointing finger.
Right, saying you make me feel
Yeah.
almost always triggers defensiveness in your partner. It shuts down problem solving instantly.
So instead.
Describe your feeling in the context of the situation, but don't make them the sole cause. When this situation happened, I felt emotion, not you made me angry.
Got it. Focusing on your experience within the context.
Exactly. And to express feelings fully, the book breaks it down. Use a specific feeling word, like angry or disappointed. Maybe define it briefly.
Yeah.
Say how intense it is, how long you felt it.
Okay.
Mention the trigger, the context, and even if there are past experiences that make this situation feels similar or more intense.
Wow, that's quite detailed. Like that example with Alicia and the forgotten dinner reservations.
It covers all those bases for clarity.
And then comes the scripting needs part.
Yes. Feeling expressed. Okay, now what do you want? And crucially, state it as an observable behavior.
Not vague stuff like be more supportive.
Exactly. That's too fuzzy. What does supportive look like in action? Ask for that. Could you give me a hug? Could we sit together without the TV for 20 minutes? Could you put your dishes in the dishwasher? Specific actions.
Takes the guesswork out for your partner.
Totally. They know exactly what you're asking for.
And what about that self-care alternative? I found that intriguing.
Ah, yes. That's your backup plan. If your partner can't or won't meet the need, what will you do to take care of the issue yourself?
But not as a threat, right?
No, not if you don't do X, I'll do Y. It's more, if this need isn't met this way, my plan to handle it is self-care action. Like the dishwasher example. If helping with dishes consistently isn't happening, maybe the self-care plan is saving up for a dishwasher.
Right. It's about taking responsibility for getting your needs met one way or another. Less resentment.
Exactly. Proactive problem solving. Which leads nicely into the third foundational skill, reciprocal reinforcement.
This sounds positive.
It is. It's all about consciously increasing the good stuff, the pleasure, the positive interactions in the relationships.
Deliberately adding more positives.
Yes. Small, consistent, positive actions. The idea is they create this upward spiral of goodwill and enjoyment. Don't underestimate the little things.
Seems obvious, more good stuff, happier relationship. But why is it highlighted as a specific skill?
Because it often doesn't just happen, especially if you've been together a while or hit a rough patch. This approach provides a structured way to make it happen.
Okay.
And the book lists reasons it's effective. It builds collaboration. It gives quick, positive feedback. You feel better, more committed, more caring fairly quickly.
Builds confidence too, maybe. Like you can make things better.
Definitely. A sense of control.
Yeah.
And it's usually easy because you're using things you already know pleases your partner. Plus, it can smooth the way for tackling tougher issues later.
But maybe not for like immediate crises.
Generally, no. It's better for turning around that slow slide into dissatisfaction rather than putting out a 5-alarm fire.
Gotcha. And this has roots in psychology too, like the listening part.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
Behavioral principles. They mentioned Stewart's caring days idea.
Oh, what's that?
Couples would list small, pleasing things the other could do and then commit to doing a certain number each day. Little gestures.
So how does it work in practice, according to the book?
Each partner makes a list, say 10 things minimum
Yeah.
that the other could do that would be nice or great. Small stuff.
Like?
Oh, bringing up a coffee, giving a back rub, sending a nice text, complimenting them, planning a small outing, things like
Oh, yeah.
that.
And you rank them.
Yeah, maybe on a simple scale, like 1 for nice, 3 for great.
Right.
But, and this is interesting, you keep the lists secret at
I
first
like secret.
for the surprise factor. And to avoid making it feel like a checklist or creating expectations.
Ah, okay. Then what?
Then you each agree to do, say, 5 things from your partner's hidden list each day for maybe a week or 2.
And you track it.
You track what you did and maybe what you noticed receiving. But the key is, don't keep score against each other. Just focus on hitting your own target of 5.
Right. Not, you only did 4 yesterday.
Exactly. Avoid that completely. The focus is on generosity.
And then there's a feedback part.
After the agreed time, you talk. Honestly, share which things you really notice, which ones meant the most.
Like that Linda and Rod example. They learned surprising things about what actually landed well.
Yeah, sometimes what one person thinks is a great pleaser doesn't hit the mark quite as intended, or it reveals an underlying need. The feedback is crucial for fine-tuning.
And there are guidelines for asking for these pleasers too, right?
Yes, important ones. Ask for small, specific actions. Focus on positive things you want them to start doing, not stop doing.
Behaviors, not attitudes.
Right. Smile more is an attitude. Greet me with a smile when I come home is a behavior. Avoid blame.
Yeah.
And pick things without, a ton of negative baggage attached.
Okay. And finding things you both enjoy. Mutual pleasers.
Yeah, brainstorming those together.
Yeah.
Maybe things you used to do or totally new stuff. That shared tea time example after the kids are in bed, that's a mutual pleaser.
Carving out couple time.
Exactly. And the idea is if you practice this kind of reinforcement consistently for a while.
Couple months, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. It builds up this bank of goodwill, cooperation, pleasure, makes the whole relationship feel more resilient and resourceful when you do need to tackle conflict.
Okay, wow. That's a lot of ground we've covered. Those foundational skills. active listening,
Mm-hmm.
clearly expressing feelings and needs.
Right.
And this reciprocal reinforcement, consciously adding positives, it really drives home that a good relationship takes active work, active skill.
It absolutely does. It's not passive. And maybe the key takeaway for listeners is to think, which of these resonates most right now?
Mm.
Is there one small thing, one specific action you could try today? Maybe focus on paraphrasing in your next chat, or think about one need you could script more clearly.
It's just one small step.
Just one small step. Because these basics, while powerful, are really just the starting point.
Right, the source goes into more advanced stuff too. Conflict, communication patterns.
Yeah, deeper dives into handling conflict constructively, understanding those unspoken rules in your dynamic, even challenging the negative thoughts that can sabotage things. Lots more to explore for continued growth.
Definitely encourages further exploration.
Because look, cultivating these couple skills, it takes effort, it takes patience. It won't always feel easy.
Probably feels awkward sometimes.
It likely will, but the potential payoff, that deeper understanding, more support, a genuinely more fulfilling partnership, that feels incredibly worthwhile, doesn't it?
It really does.
So the question to leave folks with is maybe. What's one small, meaningful step you'll choose to take today to deepen that connection? Something to think about.